Hi everyone, and welcome to our video on the eclipse, the new moon eclipse in Aries, which takes place on April the 20th. Well, actually, depending on where you are, it could be April the 19th. I'm Emmeline Muldoon, and I'm here with Jim Delacoli.
Hey, everybody. We
get together twice a month. If you're new to our channel, well, both of our channels, we put this on both of our YouTube channels. We get together to talk about the new moon and the full moon each month. It gives us a good time to reflect on the astrology that's going on at the moment. And we can also just, obviously talk about the lunation and how to work with that. Now, this particular one that we have coming up this week, we're filming this late at night on the 17th of April. We had to get this in, so we're trying our best. And the eclipse is actually happening Eastern Standard Time, 12 minutes past midnight, Thursday morning. So just in a couple of days' time. So we are well in eclipse season right now. Mm-hmm. And this is a new moon eclipse in Aries, and it's a total eclipse. So it's a big, juicy eclipse. Mm-hmm. So we're here to talk you through it all, even though we may be a little bit tired and wiped out. Well, I don't know about you, Jim, but I am.
Yeah, no, I think I've had enough myself, but we want to make sure we get these out and give everybody a chance to be prepared, because we try to bring the energies we see, and then hopefully you having that knowledge helps you maneuver through whatever it is you're going to deal with. So
yeah. And this is an important eclipse for quite a few reasons. We are really, firstly, this is the first eclipse in Aries, because we've been having the Scorpio, Taurus eclipses for going on for the last 18 months. So this is an out of sign eclipse pair. So this first eclipse that we have this week, the one we're talking about today, is Aries, but then the one in 2 weeks' time is finishing up in Scorpio. So that's quite unusual in itself, because it's the first one of the Aries Libra axes. But we are still finishing up the Scorpio stuff, and that's the real juicy bit that we're building to. But what this one is doing with the Aries is it's really bringing in the feeling of new beginnings and initiate. Like, Aries is all about the new, it's about the growth, it's about the initiation. And don't forget, we had a new moon in Aries last month, so this is the second new moon in Aries in a row, and this one is an eclipse. But even though we've got new and we've got the beginnings, we have this eclipse at 29 degrees. So there is an element of it's at the last degree of the sign. So there is some end in there. But also, this is a total eclipse, which does bring a feeling of endings as well. So we're watching for what's coming in, and we're watching for what's going out.
And I'm going to add, and I continually talk as I do, charts for people now, that the Aries is it's about finding that warrior spirit, that passion, that like approach, that no matter what, we got to do something. So a lot of mistakes are going to probably be made. Don't worry about that. Know that you're stirred. So, take a new direction. Don't worry, you're going to have plenty of time to look back or to readdress and take this somewhere better. So it's not going to be perfect. Don't want you to be. We're not interested in that. And I'm not dealing that way in my life, but I know that if I'm passionate or I'm upset or I have the aggression, heightened, I know it's something I need to move forward with. So know that, and don't be hard on yourself. That'd be my biggest message here.
Yeah, don't be hard on yourself. But I think what this new moon is really good for, and what it's bringing a lot of energy towards, is, like you just said, being brave and courageous. That's the great side of Aries. This new moon is ruled by Mars. So where is your warrior? Where is your Martian warrior inside you? Because maybe you haven't been taking courage in this Aries part of your chart, wherever it is in your chart. Look at 29 degrees of Aries, but also look at 0 degrees of Aries, where the last new moon was last month, because we're still there in Aries. So what does that, where's the Aries part of your life, your chart? Because that is where we need to be brave. That's where we need to be bold. That's where we maybe take the chances that we wouldn't ordinarily do. If this is in your 10th house, maybe ask for a promotion, apply for a job, be brave and contact someone that you might think could help you get a job. That's an example of how to use the Aries.
And I'm going to plug your channel, because you and Dorothy did a really good video on wherever Aries fell in all of our charts. So find Aries, go to that video and figure out, where it is you need to be more. I'm going to throw aggression in there, but be more passionate or courageous, and get after it, because that's really what this is about. As you can see, all these planets, they're going to be on one half of your chart, so this thing's lopsided, and it's the universe going, look, it's imbalanced, but there's a reason. You're imbalanced, the universe is imbalanced, and we got to change to get the balance back in line, and that's what we're all doing.
Yeah, definitely trying to find some balance after that last full moon in Libra as well.
Yes. Yep. And I've got a couple of people that I've read charts for, and they're Libras, and we didn't argue, Emmeline, but I had to have the chat with them. It's like, I'm a Libra, I can tell you some Libras that have really done a lot of work, and they're seeking balance. They're constantly trying to figure out, what is balance? How do I find it? How do I include me? How do I include others? How do I put that together? So I don't think Libras are necessarily balanced, but I do think that they're definitely in search of balance, and that's where the focus lies with them.
Yeah, that is definitely part of Libra's journey. And I think it's important to talk about that when you're looking at a big Aries chart, because, like, I'm a Libra sun as well, just that you are, Jim. And I think that's one of the things that I envy about looking at Aries energy is they can just, they can put themselves first in a way that's really assertive and confident and you know what, that's a really good skill. And right now we all need to find that Aries bold, courageous energy.
You and I bring baggage with us everywhere we go, right? Because they were like, well, I hope that was okay, or this, and we're always considering the outside. And I'm a little jealous of Aries, because they can do things and then just move on. And it's like, how did you move away from that? That didn't bother you? That, and they're like, no, I had to take action, so I did. And so I'm jealous as well. So
I do look at my people that I know that have a lot of Aries, and I think, oh, I'd love to try and pull it. But that's what we're doing when you've got a Libra sun. You're learning that. So we're watching and we're observing and we're learning it. So that's what we're meant to do. So that's good. And this new moon is definitely saying pull into that energy. So, it's not, because I think sometimes with a Libra sun, I grew up thinking, oh, that's I can't, you can't want to do things for you because that's selfish. If you put yourself first, that's selfish. Put other people first. Or the other classic, because my husband is also a Libra sun, is, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? Where do you want to go for dinner tonight?
Yes. And then nobody gets what they want, because nobody can say it. It's like, well,
exactly. Yeah. So it's a journey, and we're getting used to it. So this new moon, you say what you want,
even if it's painful.
Yeah, that's true, because you are going to have the courage to do that. And there's a lot of stuff in this chart that supports that, actually, because we were just talking about the sextile with Mars and Mercury. And what does that give you? That is like a charismatic way of putting words into action. So if you're ever going to say it, this gives you like a nice way of saying it. It can help both. It can help make it sound charming.
Yes.
Persuasive. So
and Mars being in the sign of Cancer, which I believe, with the moon ruling the sign of Cancer, I think that gives you a little more oomph, so to speak, to use your faculties, everything that you in your arsenal that you've worked on or done or know, to actually, feel and think and get it out there. So yes, I do like that sextile. I think that's going to help us to either learn or to teach, either one, right?
Yeah, and the other thing about that sextile is it's important because Mercury is actually going retrograde within what, a couple of hours of this
Yes.
new moon. So Mercury's saying, we get this new moon, and then we have Mercury saying, oh, look, I'm hanging out next to Uranus. What did we just hear? What did we just learn?
Yep.
And you might have heard something, a piece of information that you are then going to use maybe to help you be bold, help you be courageous, or that you're going to be working with during those next 3 weeks of the Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
That's a big part of this eclipse story, Mercury.
And you know me, I've been talking about we're in the time that lies, with Pluto, lies are being revealed of how we've worked, which was beneficial and of course detrimental. And so it's just as big of finding the truth by having to figure the lie out first, or just getting after the truth. So all that's happened, every bit of it.
Yes, and that particularly we're building to, I think, with the Scorpio eclipse
Yes.
in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Especially with Mercury being retrograde during that one, because Mercury can be the trickster, can play tricks on us, and yeah, we'll talk about that one next time.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got Jupiter here. Jupiter right next to the sun and moon. So what does that do? I remember when I had one of my first lessons with you years and years ago, and I was looking at a chart and I was like, yeah, but look, Jim, it's all right because Jupiter's there, and Jupiter's a good planet. It's a happy planet. It's bringing luck. And you went, yeah, or it could just make it bigger.
Right. Expand it, right?
I just thought, oh yeah, that's right. Because I was a baby astrologer at the time, but looking at this chart right now, Jupiter's right there in the picture. It's conjunct the moon, it's conjunct the sun. So it's magnifying this new moon. It's magnifying this eclipse. So I still think it softens the picture a little, but it's definitely making it big. This is big changes
Yes.
for that part of your chart.
And I wrote this morning, I was just in a pretty good mode. So I wrote, just with that conjunction, you're talking about sun, moon, Jupiter, I put, make a movie of where you are today. And don't be afraid here to be, to manifest, be childlike, knowing that you can later on tweak what you're going to need to tweak. But make the movie of where you are so you can look back and remind yourself of, yeah, that's where I was, but that was such a more advanced place than where I had been, and then I'm now at even a more advanced place. So this is going to be like a measuring stick time, so to speak, as this new moon, which it always should be, where you manifest, and you have no fear here doing that. Put it out, let the universe know you're ready, and then know that you can tweak this as you move forward. It's not, you don't have to be perfect, I guess is how I'll put it.
Yeah, you don't. And the other thing that really supports that in this chart as well is the sextile with Saturn and the North Node. Because what they're saying is it may be a bit of hard work. We have to put the effort in, but if we work hard, we will get to our future path, our destiny. Yes. Where we want to go is possible if we put the work in.
Yes. And then the other conjunction I wrote notes about, we're bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, we are a little bit today.
Chiron and Jupiter, I put face and confront what is flawed about you, and what's flawed about your perspective, but also what maybe is flawed about the world itself that you're noticing, and then what's good, the opposite of that. So Chiron wants us to bridge that gap, or fix the wound, right? The wounded healer. And so don't be afraid here to maybe admit you didn't know, or you got things to learn, or maybe you knew more and that maybe the world doesn't know. So, it's an interesting conjunction with that, because again, Jupiter's going to help expand your ability to heal or to confront that which is flawed.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Chiron has been in the mix with all these
It has.
planets for the last few months. Whenever I'm doing readings, you have to talk about it, because we get all these new beginnings. We've got Jupiter going through that part of our chart. It's initiation. It's good. What's the first thing you do when you do a reading for someone? Where's your Jupiter right now?
Yep.
Where's the good energy?
Yep.
It's been hanging out with Chiron. So it's almost like you can't get to the good unless you acknowledge some pain, or acknowledge maybe what's been holding you back, and accept it and work with it and heal from it.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is, when you truly recognize where you are, that's when the healing can occur. So yes, that's exactly correct. So
yeah, that's true. Definitely the Chiron's been a big part of this story.
it was opposite the full moon, right? 2 weeks ago. I mean, it was exactly opposite, if I remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, and it's just moved off of a world point, so it's been busy.
and
Mercury's on a world point in this chart as well, so the information that we received this week might be information that that affects us all on a global scale, because this is a world influence, a world chart. When you get a world point, it means it affects us all. It's not just going to affect us as an individual, but it affects us all as a whole, as a collective.
Yes, and I've been like, when the revelations come, or when something comes that I maybe didn't expect or see coming, I'm like, the best place I can be is in the middle and be ready for anything, and don't get down that path of I know, or this is what it'll be. I'm not trying to get on either end of that spectrum. I'm just sitting in the middle and just pour it on me, universe, because I'm ready. I want to truly just be open and learn. So
yeah, it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah.
And we've got the conjunctions. We've done all the conjunction. Oh no, did we do Mercury, Uranus? We touched on it a bit.
I mean, you touched a little bit, so I don't know if
is there anything you wanted to add on the Mercury, Uranus?
I mean, they're both they're both rulers of communicating the air signs, and because they're in Taurus, I'm really believing that it's trying to bring back the old that worked. It's trying to bring that back into play. Speaking of Taurus here, the basics, the base, the ability to build, and what do you want to build upon. But it's also, I think it's helping us see from the perspective of, we can be enlightened to something totally new that we can become aware of on the teaching side or on the learning side. So don't miss any opportunities here on those spectrums that I just talked about.
Yeah, when you get Mercury, Uranus together, it can often be like a light bulb moment, can't it?
Correct.
It could be an idea, a sudden news that you have that triggers some action.
Correct.
But because we are having Mercury retrograde the same day, Mercury is loves details. So we need to cross our T's and dot our I's during the Mercury retrograde period, check things out. We need to make sure we don't take things on surface level. If you're signing a contract, don't be scared of doing that with Mercury retrograde, but just check it through. Make sure you get someone else to check it through, because you might miss some information.
Yes.
So with with Mercury sort of hanging out here about to station, you might find that you're starting stuff, you're initiating stuff, but it might be revised. You might change your way of doing it over the next few weeks. It might be a big oomph, a big kick. And then you might say, oh, it works better this way, or it works better that way. You know, this is all in the fourth house of the chart. So, oh, maybe it's in your fourth house and you want to move home and you think that you want to move to this town. And then you research it this week and you find the schools are not good. So you move to the town that's next door, you know, that's next to that town.
Yes. I think a tremendous and key element, which you're in the arena, is work to make things better in your world. They could be just as minimal or minute of an arena, but it might be something like you're looking at a desk and there's paperwork that you haven't filed and it bothers you, and and trust me, if you can get on those little things that you find your mind going to, or that just nag at you, and start addressing those, I think this conjunction here and this, it'll show the universe that you're ready to, hey, no, I want to tackle these small events because it's going to take me to something so much better. And you might improve 100 in 100 areas, and it might make you 100 times better in 6 months from now. You don't know. You don't need to know. You want to attack these things and really get after it. So.
Yeah. And don't forget with eclipses, everyone, that it happens on the 20th, but the energy lingers on for 6 months. So yes. It might be that you see some changes this week. It might be that the changes are following through over the next 6 months. That's the thing about eclipses. It's like a long period of that eclipse energy.
Good point. Very good point.
All right. So is it just for squares left?
Squares I have left. You talked about the sextiles. So yeah, I'm down to the squares.
And that's the hardest bit to talk about.
Yes, it is.
A square is a challenge. So when you see a square in a chart, you've got to work on this. So there are a couple of squares that we've got to work on here.
And squares are the reason there's work that has to be done is because the elements that the planets fall in, they don't like each other. It's like fire and water, or so water wants to put fire out. The fire can't really burn like it needs to. So we're going to have elements that the planets are in that they're not going to like or want to get along. That's why you got to do a little more work here. So the squares are the universe's way of going, look, might be painful, but get some work done here and you'll really take yourself to a better place. So
yeah, the square is a conflict, but you can overcome it. So it's just work that needs to be put in. So with this chart, we have Pluto is squaring the sun and the moon. Pluto is squaring the new moon. So with Pluto, that's power. That's maybe karma. That's sometimes power struggles. So we're looking at ways in which, how can you work with the power? If you feel like there's someone having a power struggle with you, how do you let yourself shine? How do you put your side, that's the sun, how do you put your side forward with a power struggle situation?
Yeah. I just wrote something real quick, deal with the truth, and begin to change and fix. So whether you like the truth or not, it's probably going to slap you in the face here. Deal with it, and then say, all right, how can I become better? So the Pluto square and anything's going to be intense. It's going to be extreme. So just you must be ready for that.
Yeah, it is, and it's transforming. Pluto likes to change us and transform us. So
yes,
more is telling us time to transform.
Yes. So, and a square you can't avoid it, right? Or it gets worse the next time, or it'll be something you'll regret if you don't work on it, right? So,
and you can't avoid Pluto either.
No.
Yeah, we've all had a Pluto transit at some point, so we all can relate to that.
Yep.
Okay, last square.
I have Saturn and Venus, and I have Chiron and Mars. Did you have those, or?
Saturn and Venus. Yes. Yes, that is. It's just not showing on here, is it? Yeah. Well,
It's not real tight, but
no, but it is there.
yeah.
It's again, put the work in now for the efforts to if you want to, this makes me think of breakdowns with money. When I see this like a square between Saturn and Venus. So we might see some restructuring of our finances in some way with that, I guess.
Yes. And Saturn being in Pisces, and then Venus being in Gemini. I'm looking at this like the universe has a way, and maybe we can bring it and then communicate more of the universal way, or the natural or in ways of nature than what we've been doing. So you might see things that are not in line with nature or against nature, and maybe you need to start calling them out or facing a little more of that. So Saturn says do work, and Venus says it likes ease and beauty and all that. But I think the opportunity is going to be here for you to find more of how the universe really works, and just get back in line here. So
yeah. And then the last one,
I had Chiron and Mars.
Chiron and Mars, yeah.
They're fairly close. Go ahead with that.
Yeah, they are. We do have to, that's really saying we can't ignore
Yes.
pain, isn't it? We have to take action around our pain. And I think really with Chiron being in Aries, it is saying, have you been held back? Has someone held you back? Is it you holding yourself back, or is someone told you you're not good enough to do this and you've listened? It's one of those two scenarios with sort of Chiron saying, I haven't been able to push myself forward in some way. So you have to address that or make peace of it in order to take the action in some part. Now, again, look at where the Chiron is going through your chart. Look at where Aries is in your chart, and you might be able to say, that's where I need to move forward. That's where I need to take action. That's where I need to realize that I haven't put myself forward enough or been brave enough.
Yes. And I'm just going to add, because that's everything I wrote down. I'm just going to add, because Mars being in Cancer, are you going to let that spirit like come out and battle for you, right? So I'm going to tell you, if you're feeling it, say it and deal with the consequences. Right now, try not to be offensive, but if you're feeling it, say it, and I think you'll progress either by you coming to a better realization based on what you get back in the reaction, or you may part ways with people that have never been good for you, but you just couldn't face the fact that maybe they weren't good for you, right? Maybe that contract with them is done. And so I hope that you present that to your world, and then get more likeness around you, because I think that's a huge opportunity with all this energy we're dealing with.
That's a good point, actually. With the Saturn square Venus, this is a lot of relationships breaking up.
Yes.
That is, yeah, that's true. A lot of marriages saying, or long relationships saying, I don't want to ignore this anymore. I can't work on it anymore.
Yep.
If you see a lot of the times when you're doing readings and you see Saturn and Venus conjunct, you know that there's stuff to work on there. So it's not to say that every relationship is going to break up, and
it doesn't have to, right?
Really hard. It doesn't have to break up, but it's sort of like it's tense and it's a lot to work on. And some people just decide they don't want to work on that anymore. So it's best just to move on.
Yes.
There will be some relationships we'll hear about coming to an end, I'm sure.
Not just with individuals one-on-one, but it might be countries, or it might be, there's a lot of scenarios we're going to see. So
watch that space.
I think we covered everything for me.
Yep.
I just want to add, you said I could say it, so I'm going to. What the heck?
You should.
I'm telling you, May's going to be a very, 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 very powerful month. And so, what happens in May, I think we can deal with and kind of resolve to in a way that'll help us in July. Is that a good way to put it, or do you want to? You can add to it because you know me. So
we're all this eclipse that's going on in May is going to be, because it's Scorpio. We're moving into it now. We're not quite there yet because we're dealing with this eclipse, but I think we can all sense it right now. We're on the brink of a lot of major changes, and May is certainly a huge month astrologically of a lot of releasing, letting go, breaking down, finding out information, can't hold on anymore, don't want this anymore, don't want to accept this part of my life, this reality, whatever it is, don't want to do it. Why should I have to? May is very big for that, but again, we're going to see it play out in other ways as well. So yes, May is a time of getting rid of what we need to get rid of, and then, like you just pointed out, we'll take a breather, and then July we're rebuilding, reconstructing some way. So, just don't get too caught up in the chaos of eclipse season, because it's transits, it moves on, and then we move on to the next energy that's coming. It's all energy is temporary.
Yes.
Changing. That's why we do these updates to let you know.
And that's why we give you the energy so you're prepared, right? So I think knowledge is power. We just tossed a bunch to you. You can't say you didn't see it coming. July is going to square. It's going to square the eclipses that we're getting ready to go into, which is Libra, Aries. So that's why we're saying you'll see some resolution or the opportunities for that to happen in July. So you'll see May really stir it up, and then July, I think we'll get to the point where, like, all right, I can see it's heading in whatever direction. So I don't want to go there yet.
Yeah, we got a big summer, especially with that Venus retrograde in Leo as well.
Yep.
Coming up. So that's revising what we love, revising and working on what we want as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So stay focused. There is there's a lot of changes, but then we're moving towards the energy where we rebuild and grow from it. So
yes. And then I'm just going to reemphasize the retrograde Mercury. You will have opportunities. You made a good point in your video about retrograde Mercury, a contract or something you had dealt with. It ended up being in your favor, even though it got like solidified in retrograde Mercury, but came back and it had to be redone, but it was in your favor. Too many people think of retrograde Mercury as a negative, high, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Trust me, you'll have time to come back and go back over some of this with all this going on at that retrograde Mercury point. So
yeah, that's what I always try and tell anyone that I'm working with, teaching clients, because a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous. And now people hear it, Mercury retrograde, and they think that they know what it means, and then they go off worrying, and actually revising stuff isn't a bad thing. It's good to take the time to do that. And if you have a Mercury retrograde in your chart natally, this is your time.
Yes, you're in your element. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is your time. It's like, yay, I like this. I feel like I'm back to normal. Things are working good for me. Yeah, maybe don't buy electronics, but
right.
The rest of it is not bad. So yeah.
I don't have anything else. I hope people that comment back, and we appreciate the viewership and the comments, but don't hesitate. Continue your progress. I've seen a lot of people developing through my stuff and channels, and really opening up. So please don't stop that, because we all need each other more so than ever now. So
yeah. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good luck with eclipse season. Enjoy it all. And we'll be with you again on the next eclipse in 2 weeks.
yes. So good luck. These are 19-year cycles. We're starting one, so go back 19 years. Last time we saw the Libra Aries.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
good luck.
Yes. Okay. Right. Bye, everyone.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Bye.